Hi everyone, I'm Jeff. Welcome to the third part of a series of training with Bandit. And I had someone ask me the other day if I use a choke collar, and I wasn't going to do a gear series yet, but I thought, what the heck, I might as well do it now and get it over with. So I'll get back to the choke collar in a minute. I'm going to start off with leashes. That's my standard leash going anywhere. It's just a regular 4 foot, 4.5 foot leather leash. It's got a large ring on it, and the leash slides through it. So it goes on the dog's neck, but it releases very easily. Okay, there's no tension. It's just a leash just to control the dog if I need to for an emergency situation. Let's say there's a car coming down the street or something like that. So that's one of the leashes I use. The leash I use for hunting, it's actually shorter. It's a very short leash. And it's a very, very thick rope. And again, it slides and releases when it's around his neck. Leashes like this, they're not punishment tools. A leash is not a punishment tool. It's just a control device. It's how we control the dog and manage the dog, but it doesn't punish. Okay. This is the leash I use for training. And again, it's just a small, little short 4 foot leash with a snaffle. And the snaffle connects to the choke collar. Now, choke collar, as I said before, the name is all wrong. You'll notice one thing, how thick this collar is. It's very thick. It doesn't pinch on the skin. It won't dig into the skin. And it just slides into itself. And the way it's put around the dog, it hangs loose like this. Okay. Ben, come here. Come here, bud. I gotta wake him up. He was sleeping, Dad. So this is the collar that he would normally wear on a regular daily basis. Just a big, thick leather collar. And it was actually one of my collars off one of my other dogs, another lab I had. Now, when I'm using these other two regular leashes, I'll just slide them on with this collar. No big deal. When I'm doing training and I'm using a choke collar, I take the collar off. Then I place the collar on. You'll see how easy it slides on, how much room there is. I can fit my whole arm in here, plus then more. So there's lots of room. There's actually 6 inches longer than the diameter of his neck. So it just hangs freely. And the way it works is it grabs his attention. It doesn't choke. It's just when I want him to listen to me and pay attention, or I'm going to do a shift change when I'm walking, I snap it like that. And it makes that noise. And it just grabs his attention, just like that there. Okay? So it tells him that, pay attention, I'm about to do something and I want you to follow. That's the whole principle of how a choke collar works. And if you're doing it any other way, if you're using a choke collar any other way, you're doing it wrong. Okay? Here's another collar here. Bandit, as I said, was a hunting dog, and he was trained with an electronic collar, an e-collar. Yes, I know, hello. Now, these things have a really bad rap, and that's only because people don't use them correctly. It's a great device. It has really good uses. One of the features that I liked about it, and I liked about the collar that he had at the island, was that it had a little beeper on it. So I could take this, and I could, the handheld unit, and I could buzz it, and a little beep would go off, and beep, 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 and it would grab his attention. See, the thing is, it's dogs live by their noses. They're so sensory involved with their nose, their olfactory center, that they get going, and they get hunting, and they get doing things, and they get busy, and it's like, you know, someone reading a newspaper, and you call their name. You know, my wife will do that, Jeff, Jeff, and I'll be reading, Jeff, and I'm, huh, what, oh, okay, I didn't hear you. The same thing happens with the dog when they're hunting. When they're out, and they're on a scent, and they're busy, and they're focused, they're not always going to hear everything. You have to get their attention. So that's what that beep did. It was a beep, beep, beep. It wasn't a shock, just a beep that said, hey, I need you right now. Pay attention. Okay? This collar, I got it. I liked it because it has something even better. It has a little vibrator. you'll notice that I have my fingers on the terminal here right now. Okay. I take it and it vibrates. You hear that? It's like a pager. So there's no shock whatsoever, but the dog knows. Buzz it, and they say, oh, he wants my attention. Then he can look over and find out what I want. Okay, that's why I like this collar. It's a way to reach out 60 yards and grab the dog's collar and say, hey, I need you. Pay attention. Okay, that's what's nice about this collar. It has all different types of settings for nicks and so forth, but for him, I don't think I'm even going to need it. Anyway, I will do a whole other video just on this and how to use it properly. Next, I have the different whistles that I use. I've done a lot of lab training for gun dogs, for bird dogs, for duck hunting, and a lot of hand signals, a lot of blind retrieves, things like that. And this tends to be the whistle that I tend to use the most. It's just a very sharp burst. And it carries, and they can hear it when I want them to turn around and listen to a hand signal or see a hand signal. This is the whistle that I use for Bandit. It's a little quieter. It's just one peep means to sit, two peeps means to come back. And but he doesn't sit yet. He doesn't know that, and he's still working on come. He was just neglected and messed up at the island with improper use of that. And the last piece of equipment, oh, not the last piece, because I don't have it with me here right now, but I use a 30 to 50 foot lunge line that I can attach to his collar. And when he's out and he's roaming and he's 30 feet away and I want his attention, without using an e-collar, I can just tug on the line, and if I say come, and I can actually physically pull him in and he can't argue, it's a win-win situation for me because he will always have to obey my command. Okay, and then the last thing I use, of course, with him is a grooming comb. And it's really necessary for him because every time he goes out, he gets full of burrs. One thing I wanted to mention about the choke collar that I nearly forgot is you only have it on your dog when you're training. It's not a regular day-to-day use collar. Years ago, when I was a lot younger, at my parents' place, I had one of these on a lab that I had, and he was in the kitchen, and the end of it got hooked on to one of the cupboard doors. And of course, he pulls and tightens, and if it tightens it, if I wasn't there, I was able to release him right away, but he could have choked himself. So I would not trust these with a dog anywhere because they can get it and they can choke and it can kill the dog. There's other collars out there. There's the pinch collar, that archaic looking medieval torture device garbage. If you're using one of those, you don't know what you're doing. There's no need for that kind of collar. I don't care. They say a big aggressive dog with a strong neck. Doesn't matter. It's a piece of junk. It shouldn't even be on the market. It's not required. Extended leashes, they are the bane of my existence. I can't stand them. All an extended leash does is teach a dog to pull, and teach a dog to break heel, and teach a dog that it goes where it wants to go, because every time you release that button, it just yanks you and goes further. If your extended leash goes out 20 feet, the dog will want to go 30. If it goes out 30 feet, the dog will want to go out 40. And your arm gets stretched as you go. And there's nothing worse than taking a dog out for a walk and having them pull you everywhere. That's not the idea of a very well-behaved dog. As I mentioned before, the thing of beauty about having a very well-behaved dog is that you get to take it everywhere with you. You get to spend more time with it. But with that extended leash, I hate them. It's a useless device that's made for people that want to get pulled around by their dogs. And all it does is teach the dog to do the wrong thing. And that's what frustrates me so much. Now I wish I invented it because everybody loves them and they sell millions of them and I would be rich. But I didn't think of it first. But anyway, that's my gear seg. That's basically the training tools I use. And I can't wait to get going on them. to making new videos. Thanks. Bye.